All right. Hey, welcome to another Conversations with Geoff episode. And man, I hope you're ready for some. We got a guest that's coming in today. You've seen her before. She's just starting something first time out with this project that she's doing. And, it's something tremendous. Energy Harvest Emotional Healing Challenge. That's right, the Energy Harvest Emotional Healing Challenge. It's around trauma. And you guys, we had a session. I have to make sure I pull it up and maybe rerun it. And we introduced it a couple of months ago, and it's already 2 months since we talked about it last. And we were able to twist the arm of the founder and bring her back on here because she's a super busy woman. On our mission, Conversations with Geoff, and our whole purpose is to bring guests like her and others from all over the world to give you empowering solutions for dealing with things in community, whatever that is for you, health and wealth, and just giving a piece of themselves, that inside piece, not the outside you see, but a piece of their soul to connect you. And help you understand that whatever's happened to you in the past, whatever's going on with you currently right now, or whatever you're worrying about in the future, if it's all doom and gloom or if it's stuck in the stinking thinking capacity, we want you to know that it doesn't have to stay that way. My name is Geoff Tyson, and I'm the host of Conversations with Geoff, and I'm known as the Comeback King. And I got that name from people that have seen me, like many of you, go through life, travels, ups and downs and all around, and keep getting back up. I heard it said the other day, I like to fail 1,000 times. That means I've gotten up 999 times. So I'm up again, I'm feeling I'm going to keep moving until you get it, man. Love to fail, reward. And I heard this last night in a leadership training my wife was on. I was eavesdropping, right? Because they were dropping some really powerful nuggets, right? For you leaders out there that are looking to level up, and creating that environment where people feel safe, that environment where people really just kind of dial in because they got the mission. Anyway, let me get back to why we're here. Just give you a little taste of how Conversations with Geoff flows. Our guest today is a friend of mine, a woman I've seen over the several years, almost 2 decades, and just grow and change and serve. She's got a highly educated, and we're talking today. She's her next level of education. We're gonna put it out there in the atmosphere. Miss PhD one day, baby. PhD. That's right, man. She's got that kind of brain, fellas. Oh, by the way, fellas, she is a single woman too. But don't come with no mess. She's gonna slap me for that one. But I just want to say, to help a sister out. She don't need the help, but I'm just saying, hey, pay attention. Anyway, she's a dedicated author. She's got a new co-authoring coming out. She'll probably talk a little bit about that. A woman that has turned her life around and has helped hundreds of other people, maybe more than that. I don't know how many people, but lots of folks out there find her way. Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring to the stage my friend and our guest, Coach B.Von Squires.
You got jokes so early this morning. I love it. Hello.
What's up, B.Von? I couldn't help myself, man. I said, do I do it? Yeah, I got to do it, right? I mean,
Too funny.
Woo, so what's happening? I mean, I know we're going to get right to it because you're a busy lady. And I was telling the folks, it was 2 months almost since, when you reminded me today that it was 2 months since we kicked off this thing. Why don't you kind of give a quick overview for those that may not be familiar with what's happening, what we're talking about, this energy harvest piece, and then we'll kind of get into it.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me back to your show, Conversation with Geoff. This is always a fun place to be, always a safe place to be, and I just really enjoy coming on, talking to your audience about the wonderful things that are going on in my life. Thank you so much for bringing me back.
Thanks for coming. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
And like you were saying, yes, so many wonderful things are happening. And right now I'm underway with the Emotional Healing Challenge. It's the Energy Harvest Emotional Healing Challenge and $2,000 giveaway. That's right. We are giving away $2,000 USD and to the participants who qualify. And what this is, I got a vision and a message from God. Go get my people heal my people. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you want me to do? And he says, I need you to bring the physical and I will deal with the spiritual. And I was like, okay, how am I supposed to do that? And he says, well, I need you to make it fun because trauma is already heavy enough and healing it can be so painful. He said, just like when you run and you scrape your knee on the gravel, when you fall and scrape your knee on the gravel, there might be little pieces of rock and dirt inside the wound. So when you go to the doctor, they have to give you anesthesia so that they can clean and debride that wound so that fresh new blood can flow for healing. So God showed me that vision, and he says the anesthesia that we are going to provide is the fun, it's the excitement, it's the prizes, it's the games, it's the camaraderie, it's the support, it's the love, it's the community. And these are the anesthesia that we bring so that we can heal the spiritual wounds that we suffer from.
Yeah.
So I am just so grateful for this opportunity because it was definitely a lot of moving parts. A lot of moving parts. And so I just jumped in. I said, okay, God, because I don't know. I never say no. It's always okay, God. So I'm like, okay, well, show me what to do. And I just jumped in and he says, well, you have a lot of people in your network. I want you to include them so that they can bring their energy as well.
Right.
And I said, okay. So then he gave me a whole lineup of how each week is going to flow. He says you have four chapters or 4 healing phases. The identify phase, where we identify the trauma, the negative thoughts, all of that bringing us down, that has been plaguing us and showing up in our decisions and in our relationships. And then you have the set phase, which is the phase where we offer forgiveness to ourselves and to those who have harmed us. And this phase allows healing to begin because as long as you have unhealed forgiveness, healing cannot begin. And so go through that phase. And then the next phase is now that you've gotten rid of all of that yucky stuff on the inside, let's see now how we can achieve some wonderful things in your life, like a peaceful night's sleep, like better relationships, like better self-talk, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Then it's like, how do you sustain all of that? And so these are the 4 healing phases. And each of these healing phases is equipped with the first week. We do a introduction or an education piece because I believe that education about trauma is the best resource that we can give is the education. And on the second week, right, on the second week, we have a therapist that comes in and processes with the women and men about their trauma, their specific trauma, based on whichever phase we are currently in. Then on the third week, we have a guest speaker that comes in and shares their experience with the topic and helps us understand how they were able to identify trauma or how they were able to forgive the perpetrator, what they do to achieve success and how they sustain all of that. So they come in and talk on the third week. And then on that fourth week, on that fourth week, baby, let me tell you, we get down and dirty. We take off the lashes. We take off all. We just get raw with it. And we talk about the things that are at the core of our suffering. Because if we don't talk about that, it's not going to be healed. It's not going to be felt. And if you don't feel it, baby, you can't heal it. So that's what we do on the fourth week. And this is our second month with this Energy Harvest Challenge, and we are excited. I am, oh my God, Geoff, I am so grateful. I could burst at the seams right now about how grateful I am to just watch these women come in here and create a community of support and love for each other. These are people that don't necessarily know each other. They're coming in and they're here for healing and they're receiving the healing that they came for. And it's just wonderful. It's so wonderful. And so it's based on a point system. So there's so many points that they can get throughout the week. And then on Wednesday, we put their names on a spin wheel and we spin that wheel for the prizes. And it is so much fun to watch them win. And they work out of the actual workbook. Okay. when they complete all of that chapter and send me proof that they've completed it, then their name goes on the $500 wheel. And
Okay.
so in the last week, we spend for that $500, and we did that last month. And so we're going to just continue on for the next few healing phases. It started
Okay.
in August and it's going to end in November. And I'm just so excited about it. And then I'll start it back up again in March. So
I just, I, I just going to ask you. So I mean, it sounds like exciting times, and I'm sure there's going to be questions about. And we didn't really talk about this, but I'm right now. You're creating a waiting list, maybe, or people can reach you that want to get more information, because we don't really have time to dive into all of the things. I want to make sure that those that are curious at least get a chance to meet you. Those that are curious have a kind of more comfort level understanding that you do have something that could help them, and really. So you're talking about it's going to be over in October.
November.
November. Okay, so ends in November, and then you'll have a gap, and then the next one will be starting in early 2025.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So, but then, but I gotta stop all this anyhow. But let me go back, because you said a couple of things. I think it's really important at the very beginning. People say a lot of times when we talk about hearing from God and all these other things, and it kind of sometimes people tune themselves out, but I want you because I tried to have you do some other things that we would do normally in this process, and you were pretty firm on walking in the direction that he gave you, and I admire you for that, first of all. And so because we get messages. I think wherever you believe, whatever you follow, we all get messages, right? We're human. We absorb messages. We absorb information. Well, how was the courage? How did you find the courage to say, okay, number one, I'm going to follow it. Number two, I'm going to say it, right? And stand in it, and stand in it. Where'd you find the courage?
Over the years, I have developed a relationship with my higher source, God, this higher power, whatever anybody wants to call their source.
Right.
I created a relationship and developed this over time. This is not something that happened overnight. I learned to trust. I learned to give my will and my life, my thinking and my behavior over to this higher power source, because I destroyed all of that. I destroyed my life in active addiction. I destroyed my ability to think properly. I destroyed my ability to behave appropriately based on the trauma that I went through and the responses to that trauma.
Yeah.
And so while I was out there in the madness, God saved my life. He saved my life. And when I realized that I was a spiritual being, this was the biggest aha that I could have ever gotten.
Yeah.
So when he showed me that I was a spiritual being, I knew that that the only one that could direct me would be him. That I had to be directed from a spiritual source, because I am a spiritual being.
Right.
So then once I was able to understand that, and he says, do it, I do it, and then it turns out so wonderful. And then most of the times when he says to do something, he's relentless. He's relentless. I'm telling you. And it's like, okay. That's just like when I wrote this book. He kept telling me, write the book. And I'm like, okay, I'll write it. All right. And then one day he said, call the publisher today. And I didn't even have the book written. So I called the publisher, and we got an ISBN number, and 6 months later I had the book.
Yeah.
So through my journey, I have learned, and I have evidence, because when I look back at where God has brought me from, when I look back at what he has saved me from, I trust him with my life, because he gave me life. And all I want to do is use my life to glorify him. I asked him, I said, God, please use my life as an example of what your grace and mercy can do for someone's life when they trust you. And so what you see in my life is all because I have committed to a relationship with God where I allow him to lead me. See,
Mm.
somebody's got to do the work. I do the work and he brings the results. See, it's like a team we have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get it. I love it. You mentioned relationships several times, and I think that's so important, right? Developing that relationship and let him. And I had a coach that always used to say, he said, "Pray like it depends on God, and work like it depends on you." And that's always been my simplified version of things. So I appreciate you sharing that and the emotion involved in that. So you did that, and you mentioned identify. What are a couple of things that people could use maybe to kind of do that little checklist to identify if they qualify? Some people are in denial. Some people don't see it, but they know something's wrong. And what are some qualifications? How can they identify themselves? If they're by themselves and they're wondering, what are some things that you can share that they can use to?
Sure. Thank you, Geoff, for that, because trauma looks different for everyone.
Yes.
Not everyone goes through trauma the same way. Not everyone has the same type of traumatic experiences. And so what we have to do then is look at the feelings involved, right?
Yeah.
When was the first time you felt fear? And
Yeah.
what was that all about? Okay. When
Yeah.
was the first time you felt rejection? And what was that all about? When was the first time you were disappointed? When was the first joy that you remember, and what was surrounding that? Because see, what happens is we have these experiences, and the experience itself is not necessarily the trauma.
Mm.
The trauma is trying to make sense of it and rectify
Yeah.
the situation that we cannot rectify. And so that's what produces the trauma. Being in that loop, trying to rectify the situation, trying to kind of like repeat, the joy. Like the first time I ate macaroni and cheese, oh my God, it was so good and it was so good, it was delicious.
Yeah.
And so now every bite I take is based on that first bite. And now
Yeah.
I'm always trying to get back to that first bite, that first cheesy, delicious
Yeah.
bite. And then I get to be 200 pounds and I look and I'm like, oh my God, I'm overweight. What's going on in my life? See, so there are
Yeah.
signs.
Yeah.
Come in your house and you got junk everywhere. There's something going on. So these
Yeah.
are telltale signs that
Yeah.
let you see that somewhere something's just not right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Someone, because it's not normal.
A little out of balance. I love the macaroni scenario, and 200 pounds later, or, the dozens and pounds of cookies I eat and things like that.
Yes.
Right. So you can do all those things. And then, I think I heard, so the second piece, once they start identifying and without disclosing names or anything like that, but as you've gone through this and you've seen and observed some of your I'll call them students in your program, when they can you share how it was to see the change once they began to identify, and are you in the second phase now?
We are in the second phase now.
Yeah. So how's that transition been? And how what can you share with us in terms of the progress or just the experience?
Well, the first phase was the most difficult phase because we had to identify that we have an issue, that we have a problem, that we need healing. And that's never easy because we have an ego that says we're just fine. We have an ego that compares us to other people that are less in our mind than we are, to tell us, at least you're not that, at least you're not there, you're fine. And so those kinds of things keep us from getting the help that we need.
Yeah.
And so the ladies were able to identify their traumas. They were able to shed tears and emotion surrounding this. And it was so beautiful to see that it was working.
Mm.
Because see, when God gave me this program, I didn't know if it would work. I trusted and I believed that it would.
Yeah.
But now I get to see that it is working.
Yeah.
People people come in and they were shy and didn't really want to have their camera on, but you get points for having your camera on. So they had their cameras on, but maybe they were sitting kind of sideways and not really looking, you know what I mean? But just there, not really participating. And then all of a sudden you see this, and then you see this, and now they're participating, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's happening! It's happening, and it's amazing to watch. So beautiful.
Yeah, when you mentioned it earlier, once you start to reveal what needs to be healed, then the healing begins. And then the changes happen, and then energy comes, and people start to step into it, and so so I love that. The evidence is what we're looking for, right? And you just shared some really impactful stuff. So I appreciate you being willing to share that with us, and so now got 1 and 2 down, and 3 and 4. So what are you thinking about for these next couple of months? Any idea of have you changed anything, or are you going to pretty much stay on course with what you have?
No, it's pretty much set in stone, in terms of what each week represents, because we have to have a schedule, because that's how we improve. You know what I'm saying? We know what to look forward to. We don't need a lot of guessing going on, because they get discouraged. So if they know what's happening next week, then they can prepare themselves mentally and emotionally for what's coming next week. And so we're not going to start shuffling that around, because then it just causes too much confusion. I don't want that. I want this to be seamless and as simple as possible, because the work that we're doing is so important. I don't want anything to take away from the work that we're doing and the impact that it can have on their lives.
You said something, impact, and just watching you, I just, me, I always say what I see, and the energy that you're giving off, and the gratitude and emotion, it's not just them. I think everybody, including you, are gaining some tremendous growth and depth in your emotions and your feelings. Am I reading that right? I mean,
absolutely. Because I'm going through it with them.
Yeah.
I'm remembering where I was at their phase, where they are now.
Yeah.
I'm remembering how hard it was, the journey of healing.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful that we can ease it up and make it a little bit lighter for these guys. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be as painful as it was for me. This wasn't around when I was healing. And so, but what it helps me do is to be able to look at things from a healed version.
Yeah.
I'm looking at things from a healed version today, not from a victimhood.
Okay. Yeah, but and even though this is what I want to respond to, the healed version of us. Some things we are truly healed from, and then some things catch us by surprise. Would you agree that we felt like we might be over, and then there's another level of healing in there?
Always healing. Yeah. I'm just saying, like from my actual traumas themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I can look at it from this side now, because I have crossed over to this side. But there are still other things that I'm healing from. There are still other things, other practices that I have to continue to maintain so that I can sustain my healing. See, you have to sustain this thing.
Yes.
It's not a one and done.
No, it's not. And sometimes we have to just pause and let our emotions catch up, let our spirits catch up. And then move forward with the next thing. But, it's not a race, right?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
You're not running for it. It's the long run, the long term in life. So now you've got these folks in there. They're excited. They're changing, and you're busy. I mean, you're close to being finished with your section of the co-author. How do you manage all this and still seem to be sane when you're doing all that?
You're so funny.
Work at a, profession. You're professional and you do these things. And I say that because people always say I'm too busy or I can't do things. And, we need to smash that excuse, right? I mean, that we just need to say, no, it's what you choose. So, I mean, how do you manage all that stuff?
I'm just so driven. I am just, I look at things, I see what needs to be done, and I move into action. I don't spend a whole lot of time hawing around. I move into action and I don't waste time. That's how I'm able to get it all done. I worked until 11:30 last night on my chapter. I got off work at 7:30 and I worked until 11:30 and completed it last night. So I'm very excited with my finished product.
Yeah.
Ready to submit it by the end of the week. And for those of you that don't know what that's all about, it's the Change book. It's one of the fastest growing series for self-help development in the country.
Yes.
And, I have been offered an opportunity to co-author a chapter in the next book with Jim Lutz and Jim Britt, who is actually Tony Robbins' coach, and the illustrious, all famous Les Brown.
Yes, baby.
Just to be in the same sentence with these gentlemen is just like remarkable.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah. I can't wait to see it and read it, and Les has been near and dear to my heart for over the last 25, 26 years. And, through COVID, have had an opportunity to have some one-on-one coaching with him. And it's like amazing things happen if we just keep showing up, right? Everything, like Les always says, it's possible. It's not easy, but it's possible. Right. And you're proof of that. So congratulations on that, man. I can't wait to see that happening for you. So you're doing that. You put the action in. I made some notes on there. You don't waste time. So you've learned to say no to some things, it sounds like. How do you help people say no?
Okay. You have to have a vision and you have to know what your goal is. And something's either going to feed that or it's going to take away from that. And you have to keep the main thing, right?
Yeah, I like that.
And so when I think about the main thing in my life, it's being of service. And so I say no to those things that don't promote my goals and my journey. And I say yes to the things that do.
Yeah. And man, it seems simple. It's not though. I mean, it wasn't for me. I still work on it too, right? But one of my mentors and coaches always says, man, once you say no to things, then you'll be surprised at how much time you have. Once you say no to things, you'll be surprised how much energy you have because you've usually cut out all the things that take you away from that target that you just talked about, right? And having a target, man, is so important. So, okay. I appreciate you sharing and everything. So we got information out about the new book. We've talked about your challenge. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap this thing up, or that we haven't talked about yet?
Well, my next big huge goal right now, I am looking for funding for my PhD. I'd like to do trauma research. I have always wanted a PhD. My mom always tell me, keep going, baby. And when she renamed me B.Von Squires, she put a doctor in front of it. She said Dr. B.Von Squires.
Wow.
That has always stuck with me, but I wasn't ready to pursue it just yet because I didn't know what to pursue. But now I am fully aware that trauma is my niche, is where I'm supposed to be. Trauma healing, building trauma healing programs, conducting trauma healing seminars, educating practitioners on trauma related issues. That's where I'm supposed to be. And so that's what I'm going to pursue. And so I put it out in the universe. That's the first thing. We got to speak it into existence. So that we can start bringing things my way, right? So I can start attracting funding. Yeah. I'm trying to attract funding. So
yes. Well, we'll keep talking about it. We'll keep bringing it up, and because I know one thing about you, and then when you set your mind on something, that you better get out of the way. That's all. Don't come limping in front of you because you're gonna get run over. It's a perfect example of the will to survive and the will to win. I love it, and so thank you for saying that. So I'm going to call you Doc, and people may or may not understand it. And that's okay for them, but I believe in what you're talking about, and I see. I've had the luxury of being with you in part of this journey, and people, like when she's talking about this, I believe this is what I believe, that part of this whole thing, this challenge and everything else, and your evidence of relationships with your higher power and God, that He has now opened your mouth to say what we're talking about. I don't believe you would be talking about it had you not been through this last couple of months and some other things before that. Is that?
Yes,
Mm,
absolutely. I research. I do a lot of research. That's what I spend my time doing is research. He's always got me reading something, learning something, whether it's how to take care of my mind, body, and soul, or whether it's how to be of service for a particular demographic or some other ways. Always some research that's going to help broaden and build my life and make it better. So
yeah.
I want to share it. I just want to share it. I don't want to keep it to myself. A lot of people, when they get good information, they want to keep it to themselves. And I'm not that girl. I want everyone to know that healing is possible. I want everyone to know that there is life after trauma and that you don't have to continue to be at the mercy of life.
Mm.
You can heal yourself so that you can be the boss of your life and not life being the boss of you.
Ooh, I'm taking notes here, so you can keep going. I mean, I'm just like, my finger hurting, man, because that be at the mercy of life. That's so powerful and so true, and and it really just, I mean,
It's like that saying, Geoff, how's life treating you?
how's life treating you?
Life
Yeah,
ain't gonna treat me good. Life is lifing, okay? Life is doing what life does.
life is life. That's when we talk about the whole comeback thing. It's about living life, man, and you either in one, starting one, or just finishing and catching your breath and getting ready for the next one, right? And the stinking thinking comes along and runs along, and so we talked about where this whole program began. We talked about how your relationship with God and your higher power, and we talked about the people that are in this process with you. So, how would you summarize everything as we come to pass? Can you kind of put a summary on maybe your expectation and in comparison to what really happened? I mean, is it like mind blowing? I mean, what can you kind of summarize everything? How can you do that for us?
My life is a total adventure, and I'm always blown away by the results because I don't bring them. I never. I have an idea of what I'd like, but I don't concentrate on the results side because that's not my side of the street.
Mm,
My side of the street is the working side, do the work. And so I keep my head down, I do the work, expecting that it will be a tremendous, tremendous result. But
mm,
my small mind cannot even fathom the magnitude of the results. So I stay away from there so that it can be what God wants it to be, so that I can be blown away, so that I can be energized and excited. I just stay on this side and do the work and leave all of the outcome and the results to the creator.
yeah.
Yeah. That's the
Wow.
way I do it. That's the way I do it. But I just want to let everybody know, healing comes at the level where you are.
Mm,
You just have to understand you don't have to wait until you get such and such. You don't have to wait until that happens. You don't have to wait. Waiting is an illusion and it keeps you away from the healing that belongs to you.
mm,
Don't wait any longer. When you hear your mind telling you that you need to wait, it's just an excuse out of fear. Your mind doesn't want to change. It doesn't want to do the work. So it'll say anything to you to keep you where you are. You have to press through that barrier. Press through that barrier, and then you'll see that everything else will open up once you press through that barrier.
Right.
That
I love, and I love how you talked about that 2 million-year-old brain that we have. That's designed to protect us. That's designed, and it starts to search for all the things that support all the reasons that you're talking about, all the negativity. I mean, it runs 24/7 on fulfilling that mission for you. So I'm glad you said that, and it's so empowering. And then the spirit and all that kind of comes together. So how do people get a hold of you?
Sure.
Yeah. How do what?
They can reach me at spiritsourceinfo@gmail.com. They can reach me at b.bonsquires@gmail.com. They can call me at 317-828-3642.
Wow, I don't have anybody putting that in the chat, so I was going to do it. You said Spirit Source Info
at
at
gmail.com.
Okay.
We can just leave it with that one, and then the phone number if you want.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to make sure I spelled it right. Spirit Source Info at gmail.com. And the phone number?
317-828-3642.
All right, yeah. I want to make sure I took the time to put this in here, even though it may hold us up a little bit. So I've got the contact information in there, and anybody that here's watching the replay and still not be able to get a hold of, please make sure you reach out to me. Hey, well, listen, my friend, it's been amazing.
As always.
As always.
You have me crying up in here, Geoff.
Hey, I'm just part of what he's asking you to follow. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of your emotion. And I felt that, I sit back so you can't see mine, but I admire your courage. I admire your vulnerability, and most importantly, your authenticity and showing up. And man, I'm excited about trauma research. They got to get ready because they got somebody coming that's going to turn some things upside down. Going to find some things to help people. When you claimed it, I felt it. I know it's going to happen. There's no doubt because you expect it. Amen. So, all right. Hey, listen, hugs, virtual hug for you and all those good things. And thank you so much for your time. Wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care.
Bye-bye now.
Bye. Hey, well, listen, guys, I mean, I would encourage everybody that's just kind of stopping and go back and listen to this thing. I encourage you to share this information with everybody that you know that you feel like could benefit from that, even yourself. Take a look at it and be ready for the next challenge that's coming up. It's going to be in 2025. And so, but she's probably already started the list. But man, most importantly, we talk about it all the time about the stinking thinking. We talk about the battling life, going through life, and the comeback and the gifts that you're all looking for. What is it that you really want? What are you willing to do? Did you see the fire in her and the energy from her when she talked about the things that she wanted? I ask you all the time, what is the why? What will get your butt out of bed when you don't feel like it? What will get you up off the floor when you just got knocked down? What will keep you moving when even oh man, I just don't know if I can take it. If you're at that point, keep moving forward. Find out what that burning desire is, and let me tell you this as our show say goodbye. Know this, that we are all meant for more. And Les Brown says it all the time. It's possible. It's hard, but it's possible. What does that mean? That means that wherever you are right now today, whatever feelings that you're having about your success or failures, whatever roadblocks keep showing up, just keep moving forward. Keep reaching out. Reach out and grab somebody that is serious about helping you. Take that next step. Don't travel this thing called life alone. Reach out to Coach B. Get in touch with her. I would encourage you to do that. and get her book. I didn't talk about it, but if you want information on the book, she can give you that information. And stay tuned for the next one, right? I mean, that book, that new co-author thing she's talking about, man, that's some heavy stuff. So, great time today. Appreciate everybody sharing this information, dropping your name in the chat when you get to it, and reach out to Coach B.Von, send her some love. And remember, baby, when you look in the mirror, look real closely, because if you can't find who you're looking for, they're there. If you can't find who it is that you desire, they're there. Just keep looking. Take care. Have a great day. See you on the next episode of Conversations with Geoff. Appreciate everybody. Reach out and talk to me. Bye-bye.